This talk is about how to acquire users on mobile. And one of the things I think everyone who's in the mobile space will know is that users are very, very expensive. And if you're relying on buying your users through ad networks, you are probably in deep trouble. So we kind of came up with this little catchphrase, get an STD, the good time. This isn't chlamydia, this isn't gonorrhea, this is a socially transmitted download. So when you think about how to grow your audiences, the one thing I want you guys to think about is viral, viral, viral. How do I get viral hooks into my content? It's mostly going to be pictures, so anyone have any questions, you can just make it interactive given the size of the audience. So I came up kind of with the idea that getting users is a lot like dating. Everybody wants a perfect match. I don't know how many of you watch Game of Thrones, but those are the brother and sister pair who are the lovely couple, and they're very, very happy with each other. And you actually want the exact same thing when you're looking for your users. Know your audience, know who you're looking for, and know who you like. So blind dates are really scary. If you send out a message to 1 million people, you might end up with Anthony Weiner at your door. You want to make them as targeted as possible. And the thing is, think about if you send an ad out in the newspaper saying, hey, I'm a personal ad, I'm looking for so-and-so, anyone might respond. And you do have scary people come up. Think about the same way with buying people. Try to make it as targeted as possible. Try to get the audiences you want to reach. People are likely going to want to play your game. So buying escorts is expensive and iffy. The cost, no matter how much you pay for a user, you aren't necessarily getting a great user. So here's this joke out of work, lady looking for work. Just because you paid $3 for that user doesn't mean that that's going to be the best quality user. But if you paid $3, you know you're going to have to make a lot more than $3 on user to have a return. So best chance of success is a friend introduction. You ever been set up with someone and you have your best friend said, you said, this person's going to be perfect with you, perfect for you? Same thing happens in gaming. Let your users find who is going to be the best people to play your game. They know which of your friends are going to like a first-person shooter. They know which one's going to like an endless runner. They know which one's going to like a casino game. They know what their friends like. Use that, and hopefully you'll get set up with a person like that or a user like that. So just again, we see this. Think about this logically. If you have a more of a male-focused game, they're not going to send it to their mom. That's a very good thing. They won't do it, but they might send it to their roommate. If you have a casino game, they're going to send it to someone who's obviously expressed, hey, I have an interest in those sort of models. So, and then, again, if you do this, I think you have a path to get millions and millions of users, as opposed to just spending money randomly. So the 5 rules of virality. I really think this is the most important thing you can do with any mobile application. Number 1, build a compelling game. I'll get into this, but if you don't have a good game, you don't have a business, don't spend any money on it. Number 2, you have to build viral hooks into your game. This is very important. The reason games like any sort of farm game works, or any sort of trading game, or Clash of Clans work so well is the gameplay is actually better when you play with friends, or you get bonuses when you play with friends. Make sure that when you have a game, or you define your game, that by the ability to putting a friend in gives some sort of advantage or some sort of innate ability for them to do better in the game. Make it easy to contact your friends. So you don't have to have social hooks, but make sure that you can send people and get people to add via text messages, via email, via Facebook, via Twitter, via any way that they want to be able to go and get out to their friends. Make it super easy for them to do that. And reward your users for social behavior. There's been controversy before about incentivized downloads. There's no controversy about actually rewarding players for currency, discounts, whatever it might be, items for inviting their friends. It's the biggest mechanic used on Facebook. It has to be done on mobile to be successful. And number 5, don't forget to track who your most viral users are and know their ROI. If you don't know what you're spending for a player, you really can't be, or excuse me, if you don't know what the lifetime value of a player is, you really aren't in the space to spend any money to acquire players, because you could be losing each time. Know your numbers. It's incredibly important. And then once you know your numbers, you could spend as much as you like, as long as there's a positive return. So I'm going to pick on, give Zynga credit and a lot of a little heat too. So probably the best game I can think of that's super compelling and makes you want to go and get your friends to do it is, of course, Words with Friends. Think about it. They've even built it in the title. With friends, with friends, with friends. It's fun to play with your friends. And it's extraordinarily easy to play that game with their friends. And that's why it's their most popular mobile title by all. They had a really good game, or I don't know if we'd call it a good game. They had a really successful game on Facebook called Farmville. Some of you probably played it, found it boring, or liked it. But it had a mechanic that worked very well where they had social things where you could easily invite people to come and have a farm next to you or help you with a farm. They took that game and they tried to port it to mobile. They didn't make it special to mobile. They didn't make it fixed to mobile. It was a huge, huge, huge failure. So optimize your game for mobile and the mobile experience, and that's the first step to getting millions of users. Second thing is build viral hooks directly into your game. So this is Candy Crush Saga. Everybody knows that's King's game, obviously extraordinarily successful. Here they give you the mechanic. You can't move on unless you invite friends or pay your way out. So that is really simple. You will find that people will invite their friends. The math is 2% of users will actually pull out a credit card and buy some sort of virtual currency or use our account to get some sort of virtual currency. That means 98% of your users aren't going to do that. King's very smart here, taking advantage of that, saying you can't get to the next level unless you bring friends in the fold. They're not paying $2 on the market to get those friends. They're paying nothing because they use that as an incentive to get someone to go to the next level. So make it super, super easy to contact your friends. You have to be able to do this. People just don't communicate through Facebook posts. They communicate through Twitter. They communicate through text. They communicate through email. Build all those hooks directly in. If you can't build them yourself, go work with a third-party company who does it. I'm happy to tell you about them. There's one called K-Invite that I run. But there's others out there, and you can ask me about it afterwards. But make sure you're plugged into all the social mechanisms. Reward their social behavior. This might sound so simple, but you're paying for users in ones and zeros. It's the greatest business model ever. You're not paying $2 to get a user. You're paying with virtual currency. There is an opportunity cost, of course. But the opportunity cost is probably small because 98% of those users aren't going to spend any money anyway. It's all about that 2%, and that 2% will spend money and do this to get more and more currency in the game. The final thing is don't forget to track virality. We should talk about this, but you have to understand how many people are inviting who and what's the LTV of those users. I think you're going to find significantly higher monetization from friend invites than ad installs because your friends will target people they know are going to play and enjoy the game. So, and it's all about the math. I don't know how we've got a, well, you guys all might be a little young in here. There's a guy named James Carville. When Bush Sr. ran for president in '92, he had a 90% approval rating, and it all dropped because the economy tanked, and this guy came up with this line, it's all about the economy, stupid. Well, it's really it's all about the math, stupid. And I would say when we think about mobile gaming, don't pay more than you make per user to acquire a user. The math doesn't work. The network effect is you'll get a small bump if you get on an Apple top list, but as a rule of thumb, you need to have at least a 40% margin or 40% greater of your LTV than your cost per acquisition. And if you're not in that, don't bother buying anything with ads. Completely try to focus on getting more virality in your game and get as much gains through that and try to get your users to effectively become your sales force. So I'm going to show a quick little video here, and I'm just going to jump to our website because I think it'll be simpler. Okay, so this is a website or a little 90-second teaser we put together, product we put together called K-Invite. K-Invite's Nestle, it's a platform which lets you reward users for inviting your friends and then tracks who's the most viral and what's the value of the users they bought in. And I think this probably encapsulates some of the things you should be thinking about, whether you build it yourself or whether you use someone like us. We have sound? One sec, let me try again.
You're in charge of getting new users for your awesome app. You could get the word out with billboards, skywriting, or forehead tattoos. But you'll probably end up using most of your budget promoting your app on traditional mobile ad networks. They go to work putting up ads all across the app universe, and a few people install it. But then, disaster strikes. Most of them uninstall it. Each install was crazy expensive, so you just spent a boatload of money and got a ton of temporary installs. And it's loyal users you need, not junky downloads. To get real users, you need virality. And you know that word of mouth is the best way to get it. Well, K-Invite is here to help. Here's how it works. You put a K-Invite share button into your app. That first user sees it and sends a customized message with an install URL to his buddy, who passes it on to his friends, on and on down the line. It's a viral chain reaction. For the first time ever on mobile, you can even track viral installs with K-Invite's powerful analytics, so you can see that it's working. Because the invite is coming from a trusted friend, your app has a seal of approval, meaning that they're more likely to stick around. And to say thanks, you can offer in-app rewards to users who get their friends to install your app. Each new user you get is crazy inexpensive, leaving you more money and time to improve your app. I mean, you can hire more developers, get a dental plan, or maybe spring for that company trip to the Canary Islands. You get loyal users at a low cost, and your app goes viral. Integrate K-Invite and unlock the virality of your app today.
So kind of when I think about this in summation, I would love a world where ad networks didn't exist, because it's really an expensive form of getting new users. I don't think that's realistic. I think we're always going to have ad networks. You're always going to have to do some sort of paid installations. However, when you think about your sources of how you get new users, I strongly suggest people focus on virality first, or moving people from one app to another when you think there might be a good fit, and then look for paid installs. Any questions?
Well, I'm going to start with a question. Thank you very much for the presentation. Do you find there's a difference between the virality of males and females and different demographics? Do older people more likely to share, or younger people? Can you share with us a few learnings or a few nuggets that you've got from your database?
Logic, it's common sense is younger people are more social than older people. Look at the way they use different things. Based on age, it's likely to see which things you'll use. I might still share on Facebook. I know younger people don't do that anymore. What we found is that the most effective sharing mechanism is SMS. Getting a direct message to your friends saying, hey, take the following action, because it pops up through the clutter and people are constantly looking at their text messages. And the benefit, of course, is the phone is mobile. It's always with you. People can get these messages at any time.
Would you say that you have to go beyond just benefiting the person doing the invite, like a two-way thing where you also benefit the person more than just inviting the game, but
sure.
Also?
Good question. The concept where was, should there be two-way rewards? Should there be a reward for the person who invites a friend as well as the person who comes in? And the answer is yes. You should ideally reward both sides. You also have to think about, there's different rules on each platform. On Android, rules are less restrictive than on Apple. Apple obviously made a lot of press by saying they didn't want in any way to incent some sort of download. And this isn't an incentivized download. This is simply saying, hey, we're simply sharing giving you a reward for having social behavior. So up to you guys what you feel comfortable with. I would strongly recommend that people think about giving some sort of bonus for the people that come in too. And then it has, beyond gaming, think of this as thing for commerce. You bring a group of people together, they get a discount on buying something. Or don't think of it just on the invite. You can go for a level. When someone hits a certain level, give them a reward. When someone takes a certain action, give them a reward of one of their friends that they brought in.
Yeah, and do you have any thoughts on the role of virality depending on the different genre? So, casual games versus mid-core versus hardcore. Is there a difference in terms of how you put virality in your game, and what have you learned?
So, no. I think the main driver of virality is there a great need to have friends in a game, number one, first and foremost. And number two, how incented are your users to get something that you're offering? So if they find a great value in something that you're offering, like the Candy Crush example, to get to the next level, you'll have a ton of virality. Just inherently have a ton of virality. If they don't find any value in what you have to offer, and there isn't any benefit for adding friends, they won't add friends. But the passion of the audience makes a big, big, big difference. My guess would be that hardcore players would be a little more viral. Have less people they can share with because the game itself might not be as many, but a very intense user base.
One more question for me. Do you have any throttles or limits in there to stop people spamming or sending hundreds of requests, or is there a limit on the number of requests per each person to an individual?
So there is no number of requests on the throttle, but you can only send one invite per device. So this concept of people cheating the system, with virtual currency, it's not a big deal because, yes, you potentially are losing some income, but think about it where someone is giving away movie passes. If 5 people we have a company that's using us who is giving away Amazon movie rentals. And so, that's a real purchase. And for every 10 people that get the application, you get a $3.99 movie pass. And they're very concerned about making sure that, hey, user ABC isn't delete, install. We guard against that. I think people are smart in that they're not going to send it to people who won't have interest. And that's one of the great things about friend invites is that why would they waste their time sending an invite to someone who they think isn't going to be interested of it? And especially on the email level, where we have to go through and select, it's not one email to each person, it would be individual emails to each of them. And I think I would give the users some benefit of the doubt there. All right, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
John will be available for questions afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.